What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we're definitely going to sprinkle in some real estate advice, especially on this episode. You know, life can be tough. We can lose our identities and struggle at times. This is the podcast that lets you know that you're not alone. So if you're somewhere out there going through those things, this is the show for you. So this is a Monday episode, so it's just Pat and I today. Reminder, we are doing the book club again for the month of February. The book is How to Talk to Anyone, 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships. It is the modern version of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I'm a little bit into it. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm getting a lot out of it.
Yeah, super easy read.
Yeah, I like it. It's
very
like
quick, easy.
They're like 5-page chapters.
Yeah.
Like each little chapter is super quick and easy. Yeah, I really like it. So
awesome.
And how are you, buddy? How's
Doing
everything
well.
going?
Doing good.
Good.
Just
I know you've
been getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just got a couple workouts in now, and sore tracking my meals, which is a new thing.
Playing some macro
Mm.
Tetris, where you're trying to make it all fit.
Yeah, they're like pre-track your meals, and I'm even like still pre-tracking. It's like fine tuning to hit everything, and that's tough. It really is,
especially if you've never done it. Like
Yeah.
I've been kind of doing the whole macro counting thing for, probably since like 2018 or so, 2015.
Yeah.
No, 2016. I think is when Gina and I really got into it. I mean, we gotta go through our spurts where we're like more on it than not. But it definitely gives you like a good education on like where,
absolutely.
What are the carb foods? What are the fat foods? What are the protein foods? It's like you always want to have a source of protein, and then like at least I always think about it as like you want to have your carbs and your fat are like your fuel sources,
right.
And like, all right, if I'm gonna have I always need protein, and then I need a fuel source, whether it's carbs or fats. So just kind of figuring out how that all works and kind of being able to plug that into whatever your macros or your goals are or whatever.
Well, that and just know the crazy. I mean, look at me. Does it look like I undereat? But apparently I'm under eating. I didn't realize that eating more of the right things keeps you in a fat burning state longer and allows you to lose weight, especially with adding in protein. So I was under eating by a lot, almost 2 full meals.
Really?
Oh yeah. So now not like the counting the calories tough, but just actually like the eating,
fitting it all in.
Yeah. Just eating it all.
I know. I can't tell you how many times I've been like at the end of the day and I'm like, I underate all day, and I look at my app and I'm like, fuck dude, I got to get like 100 grams of protein in, like 150 grams of carbs, and like 40 fats. And I'm like, well, it's going to be a big old bowl of chicken and rice.
This is why chili is the superior prep food.
Chili
is a good one.
And like, how do you, I guess you like make it all, and then like you do like per like cup is like a
one serving.
Like a serving thing is hard to like.
One serving is 2 cups.
What's like some of these you can create a meal in the MyFitnessPal app, and like I was fooling around with it. I had it before, but now like really diving into it. But it's cool that you can like make a actual meal, put in all your ingredients, the amount of the ingredients, and all that, and then it will measure it out for you into a cup. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to make some chili for sure.
I mean, just like in terms of what you can do with it. I mean, it's gonna be depending on what kind of beef you use, or if you do like white chicken chili. Get a lot of fat in it. Yeah. Like the carbs are typically from beans, so you're not getting that crazy energy spike and crash. If you want a little bit of that, you can add like pasta or rice, and of course add whatever sauces you want.
Macaroni.
To. Like, my diet recently has been like no carbs.
Right, I know.
So
and that's the thing too, is tracking it. Like I didn't realize, like I've always like under ate carbs. Like I never had an issue with carbs. Like tracking everything that I'm eating now, like I'm always really far under on the amount of carbs I need to be eating. Fats are coming in right in line with where I need to be, but I was really under eating on the proteins.
Yeah. Well, that's the big one, man. Is like that's one thing like I've gotten pretty good at is like knowing like even when I'm not tracking, like I've got a rough idea of where my protein's at for the day. Yeah. Like it's something I always kind of like count in my head. Like, okay, well I had a double scoop of, protein powder this morning. All right, I'm at like 40 something grams. All right. Well, if I'm going to go out to eat, I better get, double steak burrito at Chipotle is going to be about 60 grams. All right, I'm at 100 grams for the day. All right, now I need about another 100 grams,
Right.
So it's like I've always kind of got an idea where my protein's at, and but that's because that's the most important one,
right?
So.
Well, this is kind of funny because it kind of just thinking about it kind of segues into one of the things we're going to talk about today. But like the paradox, like you eat more to lose weight.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't have thought that. But going through it and been doing it now for a week, and the changes that I've noticed has been huge. I've got more energy, and clothes are fitting better. Like I'm not as bloated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's been a great change. And I got an 8-week challenge. I got to lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks.
Dude, I'm proud of you.
And so far, I went and got scanned the other day at First Form, and the guy's like, damn, dude, like I weighed in at what my normal weight was, but looking at past scans, like percentage of body fat's down by 5%.
Damn, bro.
And my muscle weight, like I got 120 pounds of muscle on me. So going to keep increasing that, keep getting stronger there, and dropping that body fat. And
dude,
I mean, if I can stay at 270,
I think you're going to look like Josh at the gym, like fucking G.I. Joe over there.
I don't know if I can get that. I look weird that skinny.
I don't know until you get there.
If you're already enjoying the process and you are already seeing these changes, like in 8 weeks, I don't think 20 pounds is going to be that hard of a number for you to beat.
Yeah.
I think you're going to really, I mean, the thing is that most people, they think about like numbers on the scale, they're not doing the most important thing, which is accounting for protein.
Right.
And Rachel will be the first person to tell you calories and protein will do like 80% of the work for you. Mm-hmm. The other 20% is all the variables. But if you're enjoying it and you're feeling good, you'll momentum straight through.
I'm excited and we got a little competition going on. So that always makes it.
Yeah, it's just a good culture at the gym, man.
It's awesome.
So fun. I love it there. Like I was there this morning, and it was a tough workout. It was a good one. We're doing a bench squat deadlift kind of cycle right now, which is all good. And then the workout was nothing but shuttle runs and wall walks, and that was I think I did pretty well on it, honestly.
I like wall walks. I don't know. I think they're fun.
You like all the shit I don't like.
Yeah.
These guys keep trying to hold me hostage and go to CrossFit.
Yeah, like trying to get Murph to come with us, but he won't.
That's all right.
Okay.
You know what? That's fine. We'll find a workout that we can all do. I think, we're rowing a marathon. Is that the goal?
Yeah, that's
dude, you guys can do that. Yeah, fuck all that. Dude, I did when I was getting ready for that match, I did like this, it was like a professional grappling card back in September. And I did like kind of like an 8-week prep, and there was this guy. He's like a CrossFit Games level and also like a very, very high level jiu-jitsu guy. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's like got pretty high up in the CrossFit Games. But anyway, I had him like program me a workout workout program in preparation for it. And like one of the things that motherfucker had me do was a 10K row.
Oh shit!
Was like just to see where I was at, and I'm like, bro, like you didn't accidentally throw that 0 in there. Like it took me, I think it was like 56 minutes to row 10,000 meters.
Wow,
took so long.
Multiply
my ass
4.
is numb. Like, and you guys want to row a marathon, which is going to be like 4 times.
It's not that I want to. It's because like Pat was like, well, what about running one? Well, I've ran a marathon before. I've ran I think a dozen halves.
Yeah.
This is something that like it's a wheelhouse that I feel like everyone can benefit from, especially if you do jujitsu.
Oh, for sure. I
mean, I'm a tall dude, so rowing super benefits me compared to running.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that I think the goal was for someone, they're like, let's try to do this in sub 3 hours. I don't think I could do that. No. But as far as something that I would be down to do that I don't think would completely wreck me, and I think could start a trend of something that I would include in more of my training, I think rowing a long distance, even if it was a half marathon, I've rowed a 10K. It's not fun, but I'd rather, I think, row a 10K I'd actually rather run a 10K.
I'd rather run than row personally. As long as I was like outside, I just feel like sitting in that same spot.
Fuck. What if you were outside and it was a nice day?
Maybe, but I don't know.
Where
like
the
fact
hell
that you're
would
like
we find somewhere with just rowing back and forth across Creve Coeur Park Lake?
No, I think he's like set a rower outside.
But I'm sure Rachel would be cool. Hey, Rach.
Yeah.
What's up, sister? You mind if we move the rowers outside?
Oh, she won't care about that. We can definitely
4 hours. Die. You can get on.
I feel like
camera.
it'd have to be in like the middle of the day though, like in between classes, as long as the workout didn't have rowers in it. Or something. But I'm sure we could make that happen.
Figure something
or
out.
late at night.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, you guys are killing me here. But
it's not on
anyway,
my to-do list anytime soon.
we can get into some wins and losses
Just
for the
thinking
week.
about my lats for that.
Oh, bro.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, got some wins and losses this week. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so wins, like I said, the getting into workouts more, consistently now, and then also tracking my foods. Definitely big wins. Losses, just trying to think. It's not really things that are out of my control. With contracts being slow, things like that. It's hard to say because when I focus on the things that I can control, it's not really, I can't think of a loss for the week.
Yeah.
Going back and looking at it, I was on the way over here and going back and trying to think through this, what were some losses, but this was a good week for me. So I can't say that there was a loss this week.
Great.
So,
well, my wins, I've been trying to make a good habit of writing stuff down so that I don't forget things. But so we've made a lot of progress on the flip. I was over there 2 days ago. We've got just about everything ordered. They're painting, waiting for cabinets to come in. Just got to pick out the tile that we're going to put in the kitchen floor. Just bought vanities and light fixtures yesterday. So really making a ton of progress there. These contractors are freaking awesome. So that last week made it to CrossFit 3 times, made it to Jiu-Jitsu 4 times. So that was ideal for me. If I could do my perfect week of fitness, that's it. And then we got a ton of work done here at the house this past weekend. Got some new lighting here in the studio. We got a bunch of recessed lighting put in downstairs. Had a couple security cameras installed. Since it's an older house, all of the upstairs, all the switches, when you walk into the bedrooms, all the switches went to an outlet, not the ceiling fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that changed. So now everything's
awesome.
on a switch. Got all new fans installed in all the bedrooms. Had a couple outlets installed. We're going to turn this little corner of the studio into a coffee bar.
I'm excited about that.
That'll be cool. So those are my wins this week. My losses, Calvin's been sick. He's still got a little bit of a fever right now over at my mother-in-law's, and that's just fucking hard to see, man. And especially he's finally at an age where he can articulate how he's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, yesterday, it fucking broke my heart. We were walking and it was a beautiful day. It was 55, 60 degrees. And so Gene actually took off work yesterday and stayed home with him. And, we were out on a little walk around the neighborhood, just get some fresh air. And all of a sudden he just starts bawling his eyes out and he's like, head hurts. And I'm like, oh God, dude. It's just
worse. You can't do anything.
Oh, you can't do anything about it. But it's he's at an age now where he can articulate and tell you how he's feeling. And it's just oh, it hurts. Cause before it was just, he just would probably cry and you didn't know what it was. So that, obviously it's not a loss or anything I did, but it's just it's something that sucks.
Yeah.
I had 2 deals implode yesterday, but it's just part of the business.
Right.
Nothing I can really do about it. It's nothing I did. It's just,
I'm sure you handled it perfectly though.
Well, you guys just heard the phone call
Yeah.
before this. So yeah.
Oh, we heard.
Yeah, it went away. It's fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Figure it out and move on.
And then I don't know if this is really a loss, but I'm going to be competing in jiu-jitsu and not this coming weekend, but the following. And I just feel like I don't know if I'm feeling not super prepared or I just feel like I haven't mentally been as dialed in as I should be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to really try to focus on that for the next 2 weeks and really
this.
my training's been good. I felt good in the room. Felt good on the mats. I'm feeling sharp. I just feel like I haven't gotten into this competition mindset. But sometimes I feel like I almost do better that way.
Right.
And I'm not putting that pressure on myself.
You're a little bit more relaxed. I remember there was games where I wasn't feeling 100% with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would not try to overdo things and just stay within myself. And that was usually when I had my best outings.
Yeah, me too. And I've had, tournaments where I've, kind of not, really gotten super dialed in, but I feel like when I get super dialed in, I get more nervous because it's I've done all this preparation for this, and it's almost the time where I just go out there and just train like I always do. And yeah, so got a competition here locally, the Fuji tournament, Missouri State Championships, and it's in St. Charles next Saturday. So looking forward to that. I'm gonna get back on the mat. I haven't competed. This will be my first tournament at Purple Belt. So
there you go.
Excited.
That's awesome.
So yeah, excited to get back out there.
Good shit, man. I'm excited to hear how you do.
Yeah, sure.
Where's it at?
St. Charles.
Okay.
Oh.
I have to.
You want to stop by?
Murph and I will be out there doing play-by-play.
Yeah.
Get a live podcast going on
Yeah,
there. Get a
for sure.
podcast going.
Yeah, live
play-by-play.
stream.
I'm gonna pull a Joe Rogan. Someone gets knocked out, like put to sleep. Oh, so how did it feel when you were smelling his armpit?
Like, man, yeah, it's that's the thing about jiu-jitsu tournaments, man. It can be like an all fucking day thing, and it's like, you know,
I'm technically your academy mate now, so
I was gonna say, bro, yeah, come out and support the team. There's gonna be a lot of people competing at this one, which will be really fun to see because I always love watching people, or you know, like for like the brand new white belts that have never competed before,
just to
see them going out, and it's like it's a very, especially if you've not, like I wrestled growing up, so like individual sports where you're out, you're 100% by yourself, and especially when it's a combat sport, when you know there's physical consequences, like it's a it's a nerve-wracking thing.
I'm sure.
For sure. So, you know, to see how people react, and you know, it's interesting.
Do they rise up or let it get to them?
Yeah, it is for sure. And there's like this weird thing that you get, this like adrenaline dump that you don't get in the training room, because it's like there's like every action has because it's like if you get like taken down or submitted by one of your teammates, it's like
no big deal.
You shouldn't care. You know, like if you care,
you're actually, it's not, there's nothing on the line. It's not a win or a loss.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I always say, like, man, you got to treat this thing like it's a game, man. Like, because otherwise you're not going to have fun with it. Like, if you're really going to go home and beat yourself up because you got put in an arm bar by one of your training partners, like, can deal with it, dude.
Right.
Like, I've been submitted thousands of times. I've tapped out thousands of times. And, like, it's just part of it. It's part of learning.
The anxiety is, I mean, because I've competed once, and I mean, I have anxiety even training just because I'm weird about being close with people. It's one of the ways I get over it. But I definitely would think that when you're going out there and competing, I mean, you can know your training partner's moves and tendencies. Like Connor 100%. Silverstein will take your back. I know that. But when you're going up against someone who you don't train with regularly, you're kind of at their mercy in terms of like, what are they going to dish out at you.
But that comes back at you too. They don't know what you're going to do too. Like, I mean, like I roll with, like I've got several guys that I roll with all the time. It's like, okay, well, I know this guy likes to put me in triangles. I know this guy's, whenever we're standing, I know this guy's going to pull guard. I know, you know, so there's a lot of people that have, you know, certain tendencies. And like one thing that I try to do as a training partner whenever we're like people, like if I'm training with someone who I know is ramping up for a competition, like I'll specifically try shit that I wouldn't normally do so that I'm like throwing them off a little bit. Like, you know, and because like jiu-jitsu, it's not like I'm not going to know. It's not like people that are training for like fights where people have all this footage on them. Right. You have no idea what you're going to get. You know, you have no idea what the guy that you're going to be across from has, or what his abilities are, what his specialty is. So it's just like a matter of, you know, going out and just giving your partners different looks. Yeah. And, you know, being a good partner. So, yeah, but looking forward to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, cool. Well,
I'm going to get into some of these. So we got a couple articles we're going to pull up here.
This is going to be more real estate focused and specific.
Yeah, for sure. So there's an article here on Market Watch. Here's the magic number for mortgage rates that would unfreeze the housing market. So lower rates can potentially revive transaction activity and soften stubborn home prices.
So yeah, people always ask me like what I think an ideal rate was or is. You know, obviously we're never going to see 2% and 3% again. That not in our lifetime. And even then, like right before we got there, we were in a very good spot with the market and what we were seeing in terms of houses moving, this and that. And that was interest rates, but just in 2018 in the 5%. Like, and that's where I think interest rates in the 5s really get the market moving, because it's a low rate compared to the historic average of 8%. That's 3% off the average. And it brings in a lot of inventory, because those are people, you know, obviously sitting on a 2.5% to 3% rate is tough to get rid of.
Right.
Get it. But at the same time, like 5% isn't that far off. Like it's not going to, there might be a couple $100 difference in a monthly payment at 5% versus 3%, where, I mean, compared to
3% and 8%.
Yeah. There's a big jump. Yeah. And so, you know, you're going to start seeing more of these people with 2% and 3% rates be more open to listing their house and selling, because rates are back in the 5s, which, you know, if you look at most predictions on interest rates, we're going to be back in the high 5s by the end of this year, and low to mid, and mid working backwards, mid to low next year. So, and I mentioned like this year being an equivalent of 2020 in terms of rates dropping, and you're going to be looking at people that were buying now as those people that bought prior to COVID. And then this year is going to be similar to how things were during COVID. Like rates were coming down. So you got a lot of people entering the market that were on the sidelines, which is going to drive home prices up. And then 2020 and then 2025, when rates do get back into the fives, I mean, it's going to be 2021 all over again, except with, instead of being at 2 and 3, it's going to, or, in twos, you're going to be in the fives.
Right.
But the caveat to that is, I don't know if there's going to be as drastic as offers, just because I think we're going to start seeing more and more homes hit the market as we get into that 5% interest rate.
Yeah, I mean, once we get more homes on the market, I mean, that's going to change everything. Because I mean, that's the big issue that we're seeing right now is the lack of inventory.
Right.
There's not enough homes on the market for the buyers that are out there.
Right.
And so the houses that do come on the market, they just get swarmed with a bunch of offers and a bunch of buyers, and it's the only decent house that's for sale around here this weekend. So everybody and their brother wants to buy it.
Yeah, and that's tough. I mean, like I said, it's causing multiple offers, a lot of going over list price, which. And there's that concern on the flip side where it's like, all right, well, if more homes hit the market, is my house still going to appreciate? Yeah, because I mean, the home, you're still seeing appreciation year over year. It's just you're not going to see the, 15 to 20%. You might see the normal 3 to 4, which is normal for St. Louis. And I mean, we've even this past year, based on what I was seeing in terms of numbers coming out, we were sitting around 6-7%. In appreciation for St. Louis, which was
still insane,
which is well above the U.S. national average for last year.
Still, wasn't it? Didn't it dip nationally?
No, it was. I mean, it dropped from where it was, but we never saw depreciation. We saw appreciation.
Okay, yeah, it didn't depreciate. It just dropped from the. That's what I saw.
Now there's some markets that depreciated, where it's just completely unsustainable to purchase in those markets, and I think we did an episode on that a few weeks ago.
Right.
Or have talked about the markets that are unaffordable, but the majority of markets are very affordable. And that's the problem that I'm seeing is you're seeing these national averages for sales price and then the national averages for income. Mm-hmm. And I think the last one I saw national average or sales price was like $490 and the national average on income was $50,000. Well, yeah. At $50,000, you are no way in hell going to be able to afford a $490,000 house.
Right.
But you need to look at your individual market because the U.S. averages don't apply to the majority of the country.
Right.
Especially like here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, like what's the average income here?
The average household income, because there is a there are loan programs surrounded by the average medium income for your area. And as long, it says the household medium income for St. Louis is $100,000. And if, and then looking at the average sales price, I think is like just under $290.
Yeah. I think we're at like let's say 287.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. And if you have a family making $100,000, and now obviously the payment's not going to be where it was when rates were lower, but you can still afford and qualify for a house that's of average sales price in St. Louis. So in my mind, St. Louis is affordable.
100% compared to a lot of other places. I mean,
absolutely.
We've harped on it for sure before. I mean, obviously we're partial to it because we live here, but it is very, very affordable if you are looking to own a home.
Right. And like I was talking with a guy that owns a title company, I think it was last night, and he was talking about how he was at a conference in San Francisco. And they were talking about how you have to like the bottom. So like if the bottom 1% of income in San Francisco would be in the top 1% anywhere else, but you have to be even if you're in the bottom 1% in San Francisco, you gotta make like $750,000 just to afford to live in San Francisco because of how expensive it's gotten.
It's insane.
It's
and now
nuts.
that it's like a
ghost town.
Well, it's from what I hear, there's more homeless and like more like
it's because those people can't afford it.
Right.
Those homeless people are probably making $150,000 a year.
Lots of lots of reasons will go into this.
I'm just saying, like, hey, yeah, they're homeless in San Francisco, but they could move to St. Louis and afford a really nice house,
afford a palace, bro. Because I mean,
that $150,000, income in San Francisco gets them a 10 on the street.
Half a million dollar house in St. Louis is like a fucking palace.
Yeah, it's huge.
Or afford a very, I mean, especially, I mean, if you're willing to, depending on the location of it, but I mean, for $500,000 for 500,000, you can afford. I mean, it's a big, gorgeous house. Typically,
absolutely.
I mean,
$500,000 in South County is a statement. Like if you've ever drove down Union, headed towards like Tucker's and Lindbergh, there's that one house on the left right before you hit the mega church.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And it's the one that stands out.
Yeah.
They built that right when I was getting out of high school. I wonder what that's worth today.
I'm sure we could try to figure it out for you. Let me do some homework. I can get back to you on that
Snooping.
one. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's crazy what you can afford here for the price.
Yeah.
And I mean,
price of my house blows my mind.
Right. And that's the thing is once these rates do drop, it's just going to make things more affordable, and even more affordable than they already are. But it's also going to bring a lot of new people to the market, both on buyers and sellers. But there's always going to be that competition, and you're always going to be behind on inventory. So even if we do have a ton of people listing their homes, those people have to go somewhere too. But I don't think we'll see as drastic of a jump in 2025 as we saw in 2021. I mean, shit, we were seeing 20% appreciation.
Right. Well, because everybody was having to offer.
Right.
Fucking.
Right.
How many waived appraisal riders and offers $20,000 to $50,000 over did we have to write? A ton.
Right. I think the craziest one I saw was someone offered $100,000 over the appraised value without any contingencies. And
I think the most ridiculous one I wrote was like 65 over.
Yeah. Well, the house was listed, I think, at like 375. And so they offered 475. It appraised at 395. No outs whatsoever. But now granted, the house that they bought, I mean, it's probably worth, if I had to guess, it's probably worth where they're at now. Yeah. Maybe if not, it's close.
It's just the people that are, the people where I've run into this a couple times now, where people are looking to sell a house that they bought 2 years ago or something, and that they paid, big time over, and it's like, oof, man, you're, right. Especially now that you're factoring in your agent's commission and all these other fees that come along whenever you're selling a house. Typically buyer's going to find something wrong with the house, something needs to get repaired. I always say budget, 1% to 2% roughly, like in repairs. Like whenever we're selling this house, you've got the listing agent's fees, which is going to typically in most cases include the buyer's agent's fees. And, I always say budget another 1% to 2% on top of that for repairs that you're going to have to do.
Right.
I know, you don't think it's a problem right now, but a buyer doesn't want to take on a leaky roof or a wet basement or some leaking pipes, or
basically you're going to lose money.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you could. It's going to be. So I mean, but here's the thing: if you did overpay on that house 2 years ago, then I would recommend staying in that house for at least another couple of years until the appreciation catches up, and now you're sitting in a more comfortable spot financially. I don't think there's any agent out there that's going to tell you to like go buy and sell a house every 2 years. It's not a right move. Even even especially when the market is not appreciating so hot like it is here.
Maybe buy a house every 2 years, but don't buy and sell your home every 2 years.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's going to be such a low payment. Might as well just turn it into a rental.
Yeah.
And to offset that mortgage payment and qualify for a new one.
Yeah. Hang on to it for a couple of years and then sell it.
Right.
And like then you're going to then obviously you're going to pay down a lot more of the debt. The house is going to appreciate. It's just going to make way more sense for you than buying it just deciding you want to upgrade 2 years from now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, this is a good article. I agree with everything that they're saying in the article. So, it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to kind of see where that gets back to. And once we do get into that 5% range, I mean, loan officers are going to be insanely busy between pre-approvals and refinances at that point. So,
yeah,
it'll be a crazy time. If you've got loan officer friends, be nice and kind to them because they're going to need it.
Lots of refis. Lots of refis.
They're gonna be working their asses off at that point in time.
Yeah.
So,
I want to get into the next article.
Let's do it.
All right.
This will be a fun one.
So our next one is on Inman. 6 surprising real estate paradoxes that'll change how you do business. So found this one. I like this one. It kind of goes over some stuff here. So the first one is the giving paradox. The giving paradox states that the more you give, the more you will receive. This is contrary to the training that a lot of people receive when they get into the business. Many trainers during the time were taught the acronym ABC, always be closing. The script training of old was seeming to set up.
Basically, seemingly trying to trick people into purchasing, and kind of like forced sales is how it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, I mean, some of the sales that I've had, it's from providing value.
Right,
where
100%.
like it's one of those things where someone might have beaten me on rate, someone might have, or this and that, but the value that I provided to these people, they saw that and stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to claim I'm never going to have the lowest rate. I'm never going to have the highest rate. There's always going to be someone that comes in and will say that they can beat me in rate.
Sure.
But I can guarantee you that they're probably not going to get the service that myself and my team provide. I mean, shoot, I could go through my phone right now, and on any given day, I've got 4 or 5 different past clients reaching out with questions about different things, or like suggestions on what they should or shouldn't do, and stuff like that, just on the financial side of things. And not everybody does that. There's a lot of people that once they close the deal, you're done. I tell them, whether you like me or not, you're stuck with me until you pay this thing off.
Yeah.
And
I've heard you say that exact line so many times.
Yeah. Every closing I say it. And, like I said, it always gets a good laugh. But at that time, you can kind of get a feel for what people thought during the transaction. Cause there's not many that'll be like, yeah, no, I'm never going to call you again. Like, not that they would ever say it to my face, but you could kind of get a sense of how they're feeling when you make that comment. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll definitely be in contact. I'm gonna always have a ton of questions. I'm like, that's why I'm here. That's why you choose me. And it's because I'm, like I said, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to educate you and provide value to make you realize what it is that you're getting into. And I mean, for me, I'm not the agent. I'm not the one out showing homes and all that. I'm just here as a resource and basically just a facilitator of your loan.
Yeah.
So, it's something that a lot of people get away from, and you start to see it with, older people in the business who might be getting out, that their service starts lacking, or even new people coming into the business, just lazy people in general.
Right.
They just don't care. But I think this paradox is, like I said, it's changed a lot of sales and the sales approach.
Because I recently on it was Monday, I met with my guy I brought on my team, and I literally, now that I wasn't even, hadn't read this article or anything yet, but I was like, literally, it was like our whole conversation. He's just getting started, and we're trying to go over the ways. He's not from St. Louis, so he doesn't have a ton of people that he knows here. So I'm like, all right, man, well, you don't have, kind of the sphere of influence that I had, when I first got started. And I was fortunate to, live here my whole life, know a ton of people. I had a lot of people that I could reach out to and let them know, like, hey, I'm in this business now. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm always here. So what I'm suggesting to him is like, all right, man, open houses, door knocking, and circle dialing are going to be great opportunities for you to go out and meet people. And like, whenever you're going out to these and you're meeting people, like I always want you to think like you're trying to give them something. So like, whenever you're circle dialing, like you're calling to tell for those of you that don't know what circle dialing is, it's a program that there's several different ones. RedX, I use Mojo personally. But you can pull up all the phone numbers in a neighborhood and you can call that neighborhood. I know people are probably like, oh, you guys are those people that call me all the time. But hey, I always say like, you need to be calling. You're not calling just like, hey, can I sell your house? I always say, hey, you're calling to tell them some news about what happened in the neighborhood. So I gave an example. I pulled up the MLS and I was like, here, perfect. Here's a house in Shrewsbury that just closed yesterday, sold for $45,000 over the asking price. Call that neighborhood. Tell everybody that house just sold up the street for $45,000 over. You're just telling the neighborhood the good news about what's going on in their neighborhood. Like, hey, man, house up the street from you just sold for $45,000 over what they were asking. Like, that's a hell of a story to tell. Like, I'd be pumped if I heard that, if my neighbor's house sold for $45,000 over.
Right.
Be like, shit, man, what does that mean my house is worth?
Right. Well,
so,
and another good piece for that is like the episode that we just released not long or last week about things that are happening within St. Louis, call those people that live in that area and let them know the changes that are coming into play, and have that conversation about the positives that that can have on their value of their home.
Yeah.
And what that could bring to them. Like, hey, you know what? I wanted to call. This might not be the perfect time for you to sell, because I want you to know that these things are happening within your community. And these are things that could help push your value higher and draw more people to your house if you just give it a few more years. Yeah. And someone's gonna be like, wait, you're a real estate agent telling me not to sell my house now? Right. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, this guy's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's like when people call me and they're like, well, I want to refi. And I'm like, well, what is it you're trying,
Yeah.
And like, hey, I saw rates have dropped. I'm like, well, yeah, they've dropped by this much, but you're only really going to be saving this much for the cost that goes into it. Like, you need to wait longer. Or like, there's like the conversations I've had with some of your clients that have owned a home free and clear, and they're wanting to buy a new one. And I'm just like, I'm going to save you a shit ton of money, because you're going to have way more cost if you try and go through me versus like, let's take out a home equity line of credit or a home.
You told me that.
Yeah. A home equity loan. Like, there's multiple ways that you can do this, but your best bet, if you're trying to clear debt or this, especially, I mean, in certain situations, a home equity line of credit might be your better option than trying to get a mortgage. And just by telling those people like, holy shit, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like, I only get paid when you close, but like I said, I'm also not going to sit here and try and sell you on something that's not good for you. I want you, like, I was like, yeah, I'm here to help and answer any questions you have. And I might not be able to help you right now, but you might know somebody that I can help. And if that's the case, I'd love to chat with them. Right. If not, like, hey, take this. This is your best option. This is what's going to be the best thing for you. Go with it. And like I said, that's probably resulted in more referrals to me than anything else I've done.
I believe it.
I feel like this guy is saying like ABC in a certain context can be a negative thing. Correct?
No, that's exactly what he's saying.
I think something that's important to state here is because you watch a movie like Glenn Ross or The Boiler Room, is like it paints these ideas in very salesy ways. But at the end of the day, you can't complete a sale without a close. And you don't need to see closing as this fast-paced, sharky thing. And if anything, it says I am efficient in getting people the solution they need and deserve.
Right.
I don't want to waste your time. As you've said a few different iterations, I don't want to waste your time talking your ears over the features. Mm-hmm. What are the benefits? What do you need? Can I solve your problem? You got shit to do. I got shit to do. But I'm not going to short you on the value.
Right.
Closing does not mean you short people on value.
No, absolutely not.
A little bit devil's advocate with this one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next paradox, the growth paradox.
Next paradox.
The growth paradox states that success you desire will take longer than you anticipate, but once it begins, it will happen faster than you can imagine.
Hockey stick.
Hockey stick. Yeah, we talk about the hockey stick with our, kind of growing this podcast. So have you ever had those times in your business when you hit a dry spell, but you knew you were doing exactly what it took, or what you were doing, what it took to, I cannot read well sometimes.
Well, I mean, it basically, we're in a cyclical business.
Right.
All right. We call it riding the waves. You're going to have those times where the market slows down, where the market picks up. And this is like, I was just on a call with my business coach about this the other day. Like, he was like, hey, how are things going? We were talking about the contracts that have come in and all this. And I was like, yeah, it's getting kind of frustrating. It's frustrating because, the contracts are slow right now. They're not coming in as quickly as you'd like, or I would like, obviously, but I can't control that, but what I can control is what it says next. It says, have you ever had those times where, let's see, where you knew you were doing what it took to have success, but it wasn't. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're moving from no listings to having 4 people call you ready to list their home.
Dude, I can't tell you how many times
that's the thing, is like right now, like the contracts may not be coming in as quick, but I know that I'm doing the right things, especially when I have, 17 pre-approvals in 2 weeks, and I have, multiple applications coming in a day. Like, I know I'm doing the right thing when that's happening. It's just delayed gratification. Like, I'm not going to have those people may not go under contract quick, but I know that eventually they will.
Right.
And so it's being able to ride that cycle and realize that it's going to be up and down. You're going to have that, but as long as, when you're going up further and you're coming down less than when you were before.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's a cyclical business, like you said. I mean, I always like to say it, and it says it on this article that, we're typically, if I meet someone today, it's usually 90 days from when I'll actually be, if I meet someone that wants to buy a house today, it's typically 90 days before I'm actually getting paid.
Right.
So it's definitely a delayed gratification business. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
All right. The next one, the problem paradox. The problem paradox states that the more problems you encounter, the more opportunities you will have to show your worth and grow your business. So, yeah.
We just saw an example of that for you before. I mean, would you find out a guy has some land in another building for you to sell in the future, and you were just solving a problem that just occurred for him on something completely separate?
Yeah.
I mean, the way you handled it was great. You were talking to him clear, concise. And you didn't sugarcoat it. Like, you were direct with him and you let him know, like, this is where it's at. Mm-hmm. I thought you handled that call great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. A professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like in both of our businesses, I mean, I feel like I look at it as like problem solving constantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's constantly, all right, well, this has got this house has got this problem. All right, what do we do about it? The easiest way in my business, or in this business, in my opinion, to like solve problems is, I heard this analogy once. I think it was David Green from Bigger Pockets. He was like, turn the problem into a number, because math isn't scary.
Right.
And so what he means by that is like, all right, well, the roof's fucked. How much does the roof cost to fix? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's going to be a $10,000. I have my roofer go out. All right, it's going to be about $10,000 to fix the roof. All right, $10,000. Where can we? All right, that's our number. How do we figure that out? All right, will the seller come down? Will the seller pay for it? Okay, will he? He doesn't want to actually do the work. Will he take it off the price? Will he credit the buyer? How are we going to fix? Oh, he's only going to pay. He'll give us $7,000. All right, well, is $7,000 going to be enough? Maybe we can find a guy that'll do it a little cheaper. There's a lot of things. It's a lot of problem solving, a lot of moving numbers around. But I think that's been the best way to solve problems, in my opinion, in this business, is like, all right, let's turn that problem into a number, because math isn't scary.
Well, and for me, I'm like, all right, so I look at problems as fires. And I always try and put myself, well, how can I be the hero that's a firefighter? Because a firefighter's supposed to come in and put the fire out, and he gets to hoorah, like, hey, you saved everybody. Right. So how can I be a firefighter when a fire comes out? Like, looking at the issue at hand and then figuring out a solution and how to handle it, or being able to deliver the news in a way that's going to be so somebody can understand it and not be overwhelmed by it. And, like I said, you look at firefighters and as heroes, and that's, I want to put, like, it just kind of changes the mindset on how I approach things in terms of that. And, luckily it's been a pretty good way of doing it for me. So hopefully that helps some people. If think of yourself as a firefighter.
I like that.
Hero.
You and I both wanted to be firefighters when we were kids. So
that's right.
Here we are, just putting out some different fires.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next one, selling paradox, says the less you try to sell someone, the more they will want to buy from you.
That ties into the one we were talking about earlier about providing value.
Right.
So
yeah, I always try to not be salesy as much as I can, because it's just like, and especially, I always say, like, I mean, we sell the houses, but the houses kind of sell themselves.
Right.
I can't force someone. I can't talk you into, I can't walk into this house that's falling down around us and make you think it's a great house, that it's move-in ready.
Right.
Like the houses kind of sell themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously I'm going to point things out that are, blatantly obvious. Like, oh, especially if it is a nice house, like, ooh, look at these nice granite countertops. Look at this, newly remodeled bathroom.
Right.
Ooh, it looks, they've got, this and that. And I can kind of ooh and ah a little bit, but is that really selling the house?
Right.
They probably would have noticed it even if I didn't say anything.
Right.
But, that's how I think about it sometimes. I mean, there's definitely things that you do to sell the house, but I feel like houses do kind of sell themselves.
No, for sure. And, on that aspect, I think more along the lines, because, like, I'm not really selling myself to clients. I'm educating clients, whether they like what I'm telling them or not, or what I'm offering to them, take it or leave it, because it's pretty black and white on my end. My selling is when it comes to agents, trying to sell myself to get agents to trust me, to use me. And I'm very laid back. I know some people that are like, I got to call every day. I got to text every day. I basically got to be up in your shit.
A little much.
Right. And I just take a very laid back, like, hey, I'll shoot you a text here and there, talk to you about certain things, providing value. But I know I'm not for everyone.
Yeah,
and,
that's okay.
And that's fine. But, there are, the people that resonate and like the way I handle things. They're going to gravitate towards me. And I'm just going to maintain the relationship and just, basically, like I said, I'm selling myself to agents, not to the clients. And I'm sure that's how that aspect, it's more for you when it comes to listing, because
True.
You're having to sell yourself as an agent to get the listing
100%. Yeah.
Versus, with the buyer, like, hey, they've got more control in the purchase side of it. You're just, again, there to help facilitate the purchase, negotiate on their behalf, and represent them on once they do find the house that they want. You can't force somebody into a shit home, like you said.
Right.
But when it comes to selling, that's where you're having to
100%. Yeah, when I'm on the listing side, I guess I was kind of referencing more to the buy side there, but yeah, when I'm on the listing side, it definitely is a little different because not all agents are created equal there on like what they're going to do to list and sell that house. I mean, you'll have some that'll come through and take pictures with their iPhone and throw that up on the MLS and say that they're selling the house. Obviously, there's a lot more that you can do.
Right.
I mean, obviously we get into videos and marketing and
hiring a professional.
Right. But,
hiring professionals.
But at the same time, like when you're taking those listing appointments that may have multiple agents taking listing appointments, I doubt you're in there trying to force this person to sell or
100%.
Force them to use you. Like that's
100%.
where I think this comes into play where, you're not, the less that you're trying to sell them on using you, the more likely they're going to use you.
I agree.
Shouldn't have to sell.
No, you shouldn't. No. You should. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not sitting here, like obviously my job is to sell myself to agents, but I'm not sitting here like going through this just a pitch. Like I'm just getting there trying to know them. Like if we, like, that's the thing is we don't vibe on like a level of a friendship level and being able to communicate, then it's not going to work.
It's got to be your overall package.
Right.
It's not the little details you try to spoon feed someone.
Right. And this, like, if obviously if someone asks like, well, what's like why Guild Mortgage, why your team? Obviously at that point, yeah, I have to tell them something and sell myself and my team that way. But ultimately, most of the times I'll sit back and let people talk and listen to what they have to say and go from there. So
solve their problems.
Yep.
Next one, money paradox. Money paradox says that you need to spend money to make money. Hey man, this is
fucking
so true.
true.
And there's so many people that we know that are very opposed to spending money on their businesses.
Yeah, like on videos and marketing and stuff,
people can remain nameless.
Yes. But no, yeah, I mean, it's freeing up your time. It's getting things done in a professional way that will be better than the way you can handle it.
100%.
And, my business coach was always telling me that you should invest 30% of what you make back into your business.
Yeah.
And,
I like that.
And that's something I've always thought about and different things that I spend my money on and how I do things.
There's so many things I spend money on. I mean, it takes money to make money. I've always,
Look at the studio we're sitting in. Mm-hmm. Everything here is an investment from all three of us.
Right.
Time, energy, resources, equipment. Like,
right.
Instead of thinking of it as you got to spend money to make money, think of it as what is my ROI going to be? Like, what's my return on my investment? It's not, obviously you go in and you look at the different things that you're spending money on every year and you're going to pick and choose. I mean, like there was programs out there for loan officers to pay for to create flyers for listing agents. I did it, but nobody used it. And that was costing me $150 a month. Why the hell am I going to pay $150 a month for something that nobody's going to use? Right. So I budgeted out for it for the year before, did it for a year. Nobody used it. Okay.
See you
later.
Yeah.
Where can I put that money?
$150.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can spend $150 a month elsewhere and see a much better ROI on it. That's how I look at everything. I mean, obviously doing all the social media stuff it's not exactly something that's, it's like, it's hard for me to put an exact number on it, but on how much, I mean, I can see what my business grew last year and it definitely grew. I think, right around 30% from where it was the year before. So, was that all? I wouldn't say 100% of that growth was all due to social media, but I would say a significant portion of it was because I invested a ton of money. I mean, I think my business is just growing just naturally, just from having more clients and just growing word of mouth wise. But also, I also invested a lot of money in hiring a professional
who was barely professional at the time. You got to steal.
Yeah, I did. I got to steal the deal. But yeah, I've seen a big ROI on it, and we're continuing to grow that here with this. I
think something that's worth mentioning too, though, is especially when you invest in advertising, when you see like people who will click on a link to be like, okay, we can directly see how many people saw these ads. Mm-hmm. That doesn't address the fact that the subliminal part that if you've seen something 20, 30, 40, 50 times, it's validated to you that this is going to stick around. And then when you need something, when you have to have something to solve a problem, there's that thing.
There's that real estate guy.
You may not ever have a metric on it, but it's there doing the work for you.
Well, it goes back. I read, I forget it was an article or something like that, where it was like a Ivy League school or something like that did a study where they went into a neighborhood about real estate, where they went in and they door knocked and they were like, "Hey, this agent, we're working on this. This agent is so and tried to get business that way." Very unsuccessful. But then what they did was they created a 90-day marketing campaign to that specific neighborhood for a fake real estate agent, someone that's never sold a single house. And they hit this neighborhood with flyers and door knocked like, "Hey, I'm selling for this person," and drip campaigns and things like that. And then all of a sudden you go and pull that neighborhood and like, well, who's the top agent, or who are you going to call? Well, the only person that rings a bell is because it's top of mind and they spent the money to do it, is that fake agent. Oh, yeah. I forget what college it was. I want to say maybe like Harvard, maybe.
It was Harvard's always doing something.
It was an Ivy League school on the East Coast that I believe did it. But yeah, I was reading that. I was like, wow, that's, like I said, top of mind, stay on top of mind. And that's what your social media is doing for you now.
Yeah.
So you're not having to take the time and door knock or send out flyers or anything like that.
Exactly.
So,
and it's just like, this is where everybody's at. So might as well just go right to them. All right. The last one, the fear paradox, says the thing you fear the most is probably the very thing you need to do the most.
So true.
Like that.
Batman analogy. He's trying to climb out of the pit of despair. It's because you use the rope. That is why you fail. He pulls off the rope, scared of dying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Good call.
All that good writing.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I like that. Climb out of that hole.
What was one thing that you feared getting into this business that you knew you had to do, but you were afraid to do it?
Man, especially just making those calls, man. Like that's just so nerve wracking, especially when you first getting started. I think we talked about it on the last episode with Kat, is like you're not confident in your ability. You're like, man, I don't even really know what I'm doing yet. Right. But I'm like, I got to call these people and I was kind of like, Alex always said, "Make it till you make it."
Right.
But you got to know that as long as you've got a good team behind you,
right?
Like if it's, I was always, and I still am like, man, if it's something I do not know, I am okay with telling you like, man, hey, I don't know, but shit, I'm going to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, man,
builds trust.
Yeah. Like, hey, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've never come across this situation before, but hey, it was the first time for everything, and I'm definitely going to figure this out.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely know a guy that would know how to help me here.
Right.
And, just the fear of not coming across something and you have no idea what the fuck it is or what the hell it means.
And
or
that's the thing, is that we usually build that fear up bigger than what it actually is. So. But mine's the same thing. I mean, just making those calls. So like Tuesday updates, when I first started doing those, like obviously talking to the buyer and the buyer's agent was easy.
Sure.
But picking up the phone to call the listing agent, and the very first time I did it, and this is what gave me the confidence to continue to move on, was the listing agent was like, "Holy shit! Like, you're from the lending company and you're calling me to give me an update? Like, that's awesome. I've never had anybody do that before."
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, they're onto something here. And so I kept doing it. And then the Monday calls with agents and cold, like that's a scary thing. Like getting told no, or so agents, if you get a call from a loan officer, be kind. Just know that it was very scary for them to make that call because it's, and the worst is when they're rude to you. Like, no need to be rude. It's our job. Our job is to call you. Your job is to tell us no. Be gentle with us,
Business as usual.
Yeah, just be gentle with us, because eventually one of these times we're going to run across each other at some point if you're a good agent. And I don't want to sit here and, that guy was a fucking dick, or she was just a huge asshole to me. Like,
right.
Like you don't like, I know, because I get bombarded with calls from insurance agents.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And I'll take them. Or credit repair. I talked to a guy yesterday about credit repair. We had a great call for like 20 minutes, but at the end of it, I'm like, hey man, I really appreciate the phone call. Keep doing it. I have a company that I have worked with since I got in the business. I'm very loyal to, but I appreciate the phone call. If something comes across that they can't help with, I'll keep you in mind. Or if I can think of somebody else that might need your help, I'll get you connected.
Made a friend today.
Right. Like that's the thing, is like, you just never know. And I because I have to do it. Anybody that has the balls to pick up the phone and call me, like if you're trying to slide in my DMs on LinkedIn, get the hell out of here. No chance.
Yeah.
You know, like I can look at my LinkedIn profile right now and it looks like a hot chick on Instagram's DM messages. It's like,
yeah,
you know, like
only links.
Yeah. Only. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you want to talk to me, pick up the phone and call me. I'm going to have way more respect for you at that point than you would if you're trying to, like, obviously there's certain situations with Instagram when people are liking and adding you and commenting on your stuff that you're going to like message them that way because that's how you're contacting them, but you're already in a conversation with them at that point. But call them, pick up the phone, call. Like,
just make a phone call.
You know,
people are so afraid to pick this thing up.
But again, if you're that person on the other end that's getting the call, be kind. Like, you don't have to be a dick about it. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, even
I'm not a telemarketer.
No, even with like recruiters. So like USA is one of our big competitions. They've called and I'm like, listen, man, you're one of our biggest competitions. I'm really not looking to leave. I appreciate it, but if something were to change, I'll keep you guys in mind. You know, like I'm not sitting here trying to be an asshole to people.
Right.
So don't be an asshole to people.
That energy will come back to you too. Right. And I mean, dude, even when I did. There's the mindset I tried to have when I used to do cold calling was like, this could be worse. I could be going door to door knocking.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to talk about nerve wracking?
Yeah. I'd rather knock on doors, to be honest with you.
Really?
I feel like it's hard. It's harder for someone to slam the door in your face.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You know,
it's kind of like that mirror effect when they people at the like customer service counters are supposed to have a mirror behind them, so that way the person that's coming in to talk can like see themselves and they're more likely to be nicer. If they see themselves, because people don't like to see themselves acting like dicks or assholes.
Yeah.
Never
heard of that.
Yeah.
Depends on who you're asking, I guess.
Keep it next time you go to like a customer service rep or something like that. Notice that there's something there reflecting, so you can see how you are acting as a person, because most people don't want to see themselves in that light. And with having something reflective there, they actually can see themselves being assholes, and nobody wants to see that. So.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that'll wrap it up today. Remember, if you guys got anything out of the show, tell your friends, like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys thought, and we will see you guys on Thursday with an episode with a guest.
See you.